So, hi everybody. I've just got off. My dog's barking. Oh my god, this is so not professional, is it? I've just got off my very first for the roadmap to funding training session, and I really enjoyed it. Some great people in there. I'm really excited. If you missed it, I'm really sorry, but the car is now closed. But when we relaunch it, it's been really good. I've just really enjoyed with these guys this morning. They're so engaged, asking me loads and loads of questions, which is what I love, because it's really nice showing value. So today's live, I thought I'm going to do around some of the lessons that I've learned from launching a brand new product live have been off the scale. Right, let me just shut this door because of the dog. Rookie error there. Forgot to shut the door, and otherwise the dog will be in here. Okay, pinching all my things. So these are some of the lessons that I've learned. One of the things that I always talk about in the group or whatever is about how a business, there's 4 main areas of a business, and you might be able to see behind me. So marketing, sales, product and delivery. And what you'll find in your business, whenever you're working on that, whether it's a funded business or a private business, you're going to have to work on each of those areas all the time. There's going to be, if there's something not working in your business, it might be marketing, so you have to work on that. Once you've got your marketing, then you have to work on your sales, because you might get more leads in, which means you need to convert more. And then the next area is obviously the delivery. So because if you have a lot more extra people coming into your business, if you're the only person delivering that course, or there's not enough people within your business delivering that course, it's how are you going to cope with that on a long-term basis, especially if you're dealing with funding, because there's much more compliance with it. And also you're measured on retaining people. So it's not just a case of doing a group coaching system and people dropping off. You've got to keep those guys basically engaged in what you're doing. And that's very important. So we can talk around that, which is some of the stuff I teach in my programs. Okay, so why did I launch? If I'm really honest, I was really skeptical about it at the beginning. But I'm so glad I've done that. Our visibility in our business has gone right up. We've got a lot more people that have come into who've signed up to our email list. We've got a lot of people now in our Facebook group, which we didn't have before. I think it was about 300. We've now up to 500, which for me, a brand new Facebook group, that's amazing, because they're people that are interested in my products and potentially at some point will buy from me, hopefully, or even if they don't, they'll tell their friends. And I think what a lot of people forget is the power of visibility. I've worked with some fantastic mentors and coaches, one of them being Lisa Johnson, Jessica Crane, Stephen Green. All of those people are very prominent on social media. And I know everyone says, oh, it's such a workup, etc. But visibility is key in your brand. I've worked with Carol Driver, who was my PR. I've had lots and lots of PR. These are all things that you need to be thinking about in your marketing strategy and what you're doing. And it's not just one thing, it's several different things. And that's why launching has never been part of our marketing strategy, but now it will be. And I will do this. I won't do it loads and loads, maybe twice a year. I'll launch the particular products, but it's just made me realize just how important it is. Okay, I've never launched before, so I can't tell you about failures in the past, but what I can tell you about is when marketing and sales goes ups and downs. And what I find, and what I'm actually finding at the moment, what people are cutting back on, and especially in the hair and beauty industry, which is a really big mistake. And I've already just recorded with Forest on their podcast, and they've invited me back on Friday to do the second part, because we were talking about how people are cutting back on one of the main things that you need to grow a business. And that is because of fear. That's because we're listening to people on social media. We're listening to people not just in social media, but we're listening to people out there telling us on the media, etc., that this is happening in America, this is happening elsewhere, and that there's a cost of living crisis, which there definitely is, and people are buying less. So let's be really honest there. People have got less income to spend money. This is why I love funding, because all of a sudden that is another we grow. A funded training business grows in times like this because people are looking to get their courses funded rather than actually having to pay for them because they can't afford to. So there's all of those things that we need to do. But one of the things that I realized is that you have to have a multi strategy in your business. And if you haven't got a marketing strategy in your business, you will end up at some point running out of leads and running out of sales. So it's really important to get really good visibility on social media, but not just social media. I think on Thursday I'm speaking at the Iconic Wealth with Kylie Anderson. She's got a big event in London, and I'm going on stage to speak as part of the panel about building wealth as women, because I'm very, very much, that's one of my strategies, as in my business is my cash flowing asset that I then put that into things that are going to give me wealth, so that if one thing goes, there's always something else. And a multi-marketing strategy is exactly the same. You need to have multiple different places that you're doing. Okay. People don't buy what you do, they buy why you're doing it. So when I anchored into this method, sales came easy. I think when I really thought about why do people buy into me? Why do they come to me? Well, the first thing is funding, because a lot of people are struggling at the moment because of like I said earlier, there's this real mindset around that there's no money out there. Let me just say to you, there is money. You just need to be spending the right stuff. Okay. And a lot of people now are launching courses to do with marketing and sales, because ultimately we need marketing and sales. We need to be more in it. Whereas before everything was done through referrals, that isn't as easy anymore. You need to have a sales process and a marketing process in point to bring more leads into your business, so that you can nurture those people so that they get to know who you are. And when they're ready to buy, the people buy off people they like and trust. And that's one of the things that I realized by doing this launch, by having 3 days of value that I could show them what I could teach them. People bought into me and got to know me. You can have the best offer in the world, but if no one sees it or understands it, it won't sell. That was one of the things I wrote down. And with doing a launch, you can actually explain to people what you do. One of the most difficultest things, because funding is not an easy subject to talk about, is people don't really know what I did. So by being able to give them stories of people that I had in my business and I'd helped them get funding, that was a massive game changer, because people recognize themselves in those people. So like I could give real social value of these people that had come to me last year. I did a small beta program last year with certain people, and I got them results, things that they were not doing before in their business, and they're now doing because of working with us. And it doesn't necessarily mean about funding. It was about, they needed to change. That was one of the other things that doing the launching side of it proved to me, the amount of people that started following us has gone through the roof. So even if you came out of there with minimal sales, the visibility you get is a massive. And, Lisa Johnson, one of my mentors, always said to me, that's what launching got. But I think actually doing it proved to me that actually it works. And it's really funny. I think the mindset around people, because basically even the people that didn't buy from me, a lot of the issues they had was more about, actually, is this the right program for me? Is this and this? That's a mindset thing. So for me, it was always about jumping on a call and finding out, about what we offered. And I always find when I get people on calls and they've gone through my nurturing process, they're much more likely to buy from me. So doing the launch has nurtured those people that are in a position that they're ready to take the next step, rather than trying to put people that didn't. So that's one of the other things I found. And a lot of the things And it also taught me launching, which was really quite strange, was to listen. So when I started paying attention to the objections, the questions, and the hesitation points, I've been able to turn them into converting content. So like by listening to what people were really struggling with in their business, especially around funding, it's made me sort of realize what I could add into my course, what I needed to put more of, because there were like questions that people really didn't. Because when you do something every single day for 16 years, you know your stuff, you know what it's like, because you've gone through those peaks and troughs, peaks and troughs in businesses, which you normally wouldn't go through on if you weren't doing these things. So for me, that was one of the real things that I realized, that by actually doing a launch and actually going out there and putting the effort and the time in to do it, and I'll be really honest, it was not an easy thing to do. It took we've still got a few little, what I call, teething problems as we do our first one, because we didn't expect as many people to join it. I don't know whether that was a mindset thing on my part, because there was definitely a block about doing it. I mean, I very first met Lisa back in 2022, and have only just launched and we're in 2025. I think because evergreen for me has always been like how we've sold. It's always been like my sales team would go out and speak to people, and then they would go, yeah, we want to buy. Social media has become a new thing for me. Like I said, in COVID, I realized in COVID that social media worked when I formed a Facebook group, and then in that Facebook group I had lots of engaged people. We went from a very small, like 40 to 700 in 2 months, me talking about bounce back loans, me talking about government council grants that they could get to keep their businesses afloat, and then bringing in different people from different audiences to speak in that Facebook group. What I found was their people came into that Facebook group and vice versa. So it was a win-win situation for both of us as we grew audiences. And I would say my visibility has been definitely that. So working with really good mentors who have a big audience, they would bring me into their audience, and I would meet people I normally wouldn't meet to. I used to go to a lot of their events and meet those people. Has definitely grown how many eyes are on my business. Jessica Crane, she's another person. So I collabed with Jess last year. So I went into her mastermind. I invested in her because she did marketing strategy, and because of that, we wrote a program, which is our multi-channel program that we've written around the salon world for salon owners and their teams. And that's really good because she's got that audience that's already engaged. She's got a warm audience that I went into. We put the offer in there, and now I'm able to share that offer long-term wise when I launch it again with my with my audience as well, because it will be a multi channel. So I will bring people in from my audience into her audience. So I'm a big believer in collaboration, and I think if you're not using that in your marketing strategy, it's really crazy. And I think when I did the one of the things that came up, I don't know if you can see behind me, I always say there's 4 parts of your business. When I asked in the challenge, I covered that in the challenge, how it all works. So if you haven't seen it, go and watch the challenge, and you can do that because it will be we've recorded the challenge. You can watch the challenge. It's a free course, so there's a lot of content in there. Okay, you can't come into our roadmap for funding because that is now closed at the moment, but ultimately you can go on the waiting list for next time if that's something you want to do. Go and have a listen to it, because there was quite a lot of stuff in there that when I was asking questions, most people they felt in their business what wasn't working was their marketing. And I think it's because we get we get so focused on one part of marketing, but you need to have a multi-marketing strategy. And what do I mean by that? You need to have PR, you need to have social media, you need to go to events, you need to be able to have outreach. These are all elements that work together, and the more elements you've got, so webinars work, masterclasses work, You can have working in other people's audiences, working with influencers. They are all what I call a multi marketing strategy, and it's something that most businesses want and need. Okay. Whether you've right, okay, so why marketing is the engine of your business, and this is one of the things that I think people don't focus on. It creates a constant income flow, because otherwise you get that feast and famine, even in funded training. You know, when the government gives us a pot of money, or we've got a pot of money, okay, we have to spend that money, otherwise they take it back. So an example would be our adult skills funding. They might allocate us, just say for instance, 500,000. If we don't deliver 500,000 in that 12 months, they will look at what we did delivered and say it was 400,000, and they go, next year we're only going to give you 400,000. But actually they do it sooner, because what they actually do is they go, in this quarter, you should have sold these amount of courses and got bums on seats. And if you don't, we're going to take that money back. Now, a prime example of that was one of the trainers that we've got within our business said, oh, I could do that over here. I want to be able to all advanced loan courses. And I went, okay, so how many do you think you could do in your area? And she went to me, I think I've got 10. We said to her about it, and she ended up with one. And actually, would we give her another bit of that? No, because ultimately she can't fill that course. So this is what you've got to be always mindful of. You have to have that marketing machine up front. It reduces pressure on you. So the right marketing systems, if you've got emails, funnels, funded, they sell even when you're offline. So like for me, last night was really exciting when I saw people clicking on the link to actually go and buy the course. I wasn't actually there. I was sitting in front of my TV actually watching Formula One last night on Netflix, because I wanted to watch that. I didn't need to actually physically be there. So once you've got the system and the strategy up and running, it will also save you time. Okay, so because you can use the marketing templates that you've used, and even you can actually then you can actually take on board and use funding to train your staff, which is even better. Marketing multiples of funding. You can have access to grants, apprentices, advanced loans. They're all things that can be funded, which a lot of people didn't realize that. But you can find programs that you can look at and go, okay, we could put that into that, and then we can make this. Okay. So for me, that's one of the things I wanted to get on today. I could talk all around this subject, because I absolutely love marketing, because it has made such a difference in my business. In 2019, my business was doing 400,000. In 2025, it's doing 1.2 million. That and that regular reoccurring income, and a lot of that is income is sales online. So that's even better. So that visibility it's given me, I don't just have to work in one area. I can work all over England delivering this. And I also believe that a lot of the things that I teach long-term wise can be put into other areas. It just means, I mean, a lot of the things that I learned about the funding strategies and the way that you set that up in your business, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm teaching people to use a funding business strategy in their business, so they've got an additional revenue that they can bring in other than paid courses. So this is just one of those things, whether you use it for your own team to train your own people within your team and scale, or you actually offer training funded courses to you people within your business, as in your clients, to corporate or to business, business to customer. These are all things that you can use if you understand it. So that's me done for today. I hope that I've given you value today. If you really enjoyed this, be sure to pop Road down below, and we'll send you our now recorded Road to Funding, so you can actually watch it back and understand what I went through. You can also watch how I launched it. Hopefully that will give you some indication. And the reason for this is because I am going to be launching something around funded marketing, which I think for everybody is something that people need in their business, because you can't do everything yourself. You're gonna wanna be able to train people within your business and yourself to actually have this strategy. And even these people out there at the moment, even people within your business at the moment, that might be, I don't know, if you're in the hair and beauty industry, maybe you've got someone in your salon that is a young apprentice that's just coming to the end but only 40% full. I'm going to be launching something that actually would be ideal for them. It could be that you're a small business owner and you're having to do all the marketing yourself. What if you could bring somebody else into your team to help you do that and actually get a grant for it, but not just also get a grant for it, actually have their training funded? Would that be amazing? So let me just wrap this up. So if you're watching me, hopefully in the next few weeks, I'm going to be launching something that could be a game changer for that side of your business. So thank you for joining me today. I hope you have a really wonderful Monday. The sun is shining down here in Kent. That's where I am. So I'm going to be spending some time with my team this afternoon. Looking forward to catching up with them. But anyway, I'm going to see you next week. I'm going to try and do these on a weekly basis so that you can get some value, and I'll bring in different stuff to talk about of how I've grown and used my business, used funding in my business to grow it to what it is today, and so could you too. And it's just another business strategy that you could use in your business. Speak to you soon. Bye.